Just gonna make sure this is live. I'm gonna say it again. The sound's working. I'm gonna say it again. Okay, the sound is working. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another video or live stream, I guess. Today, we're talking about Australian Survivor heroes versus villains, and yeah, it was a good season. Yeah, this is just gonna be my brief thoughts because if I talked about all 24 episodes, we'd be here for a while. Because there are 24 episodes in Australian Survivor. Now, I am going to apologize. I did not, I planned on doing this earlier, and for a little bit of time, that little community tab post, that was supposed to be a April Fool, was actually true. So, yeah. Well, hello, the unpeely banana. In the chat. All right. Either way, let's talk about Australian Survivor. And now the big thing you could probably talk about when Australian Survivor, the main thing is George. George is probably one of the best players we've seen, and probably one of the best villains we've ever seen in Australian Survivor, or possibly Survivor as a whole. Like I really like Australian Survivor, like how he did on Australian Survivor. So he was on Brains versus Brawn. Now he was on Heroes versus Villains, and now he's going to be on the Amazing Race Australia. I'm going to do a video on that eventually, because I do need an Amazing Race video. So I was almost going to do that this week instead of that. But either way, yeah. But I genuinely enjoyed Australian Survivor. Now, I know Australian Survivor has had a rocky past, I know a lot of creators, particularly the Meridian Review, who does not like a lot of Australian Survivor season. All Stars wasn't great. Blood versus Water wasn't great. Champions versus Contenders 2 wasn't the best either. And yeah. Now I do think like Heroes versus Villains for me is the best season. I was expecting it to be mid. And when I heard that it was going to be kind of like a half returning, half a newbie season, I was a bit skeptical. But I obviously heard that George is an insane player. And so obviously he's going to be on the banner, and he is in the banner of the video here. And Haley as well, because if you don't know, Haley and George were the final two of Australian Survivor. Brains versus Brawn, which I think they're amazing too. And the fact that they kind of teamed up for a little bit, it is kind of interesting. I really like that. I remember listening to the George deep dive with Shannon Gus. I think he walked through every step of his game, and I think it makes me respect him even more. It was very, very interesting. I do really like the Spice Girls alliance that they formed. But the big highlight of Australian Survivor for me, the full season, is the episode 7 Tribal Council. I think episode 7 is probably one of the best episodes in the history of Global Survivor anywhere, because I think it's top tier. It's amazing. They go to they're at Tribal for most of the episode. Majority of the episode is at Tribal. There's a challenge. Now, I wanted Simon to go there. George is trying to get Simon to play this idol, even because if you don't know, there was a challenge, and George wanted Simon to lose, but Simon made fire and won, and then won immunity. so they came up with a plan to vote out Fraser, but they were torn. They thought a lot of people thought Stevie was going. So George played his idol on himself, and then he tries to convince Simon to play the fake Cookie idol that everyone thought was real at the time to play it on Stevie. I think that was insane. Now, I personally, the final three was kind of rocky for me. I did not really like the final three. Now, I think like Liz being the winner is probably the best scenario out of the final three, because who really wants Jerry or Matt to win? They were boring. Kind of. They ended up doing better than I thought they were. I thought Jerry was going to be an early boot. And then I did think I think the best scenario for the entire season would be that George wins. I really do. I think if George won that, I think it's amazing. It's probably the best. It's definitely my favorite Australian Survivor season. I don't know that. And I'm kind of sad that George turned on Shawnee. Because Shawnee, if you don't know, was my winner pick. Shawnee was my winner pick, and they booed her. They voted her out in the merge, so she was on the jury. And then they decided to do a jury vote. Decided to do a twist where they vote out one of the jury members. And guess who got voted out? Shawnee. Which makes it even worse for me. Yeah, that did not go great. Yeah. But yeah, it's Australian Survivor. And I think there's definitely going to be a debate at the end of the year that Australian Survivor Heroes vs. Villains is the best season of reality TV of the year. I think George just made the season so much fun, and so much fun to watch. And it was I found the season on YouTube, and I was just watching every single episode. I watched every single episode on YouTube. Now, I feel like there's some characters there that didn't get the light that they should have on the season. Like David Zacharakis. He was a good player, but we never saw him. He never got he barely got a confessional. And I don't even think he got a confessional in his boot episode. But it clearly shows that he's in a good position and he's making up these plans. And it's really kind of a bit rocky there. And I think I never really liked Simon on this season at all. At all. I really was hoping that he would get booted or episode 7. I really wanted him to get booted. I was kind of sad that he won immunity there, because I think Simon is kind of just I don't know, he's kind of a show off, right? I think he's kind of a show off, right? But yeah, either way. Now, there were some other characters on this season, too. We have Nina. I like Nina. Nina, if you don't know, is Sandra from the two-time Survivor US player, or the daughter. Nina's her daughter. If you don't know, Sandra won Heroes vs. Villains US and Pearl Islands US. But, then she came on. Sandra was also on Game Changers, Island of the Idols, Winners of War, and then she went on to do Blood vs. Water and do the green stuff, Yeah, and now I do want to finish off with starting off with the medevac at the start of the season, which I think was kind of sad. I think there's a line of a bit of production incompetence there with how what's her name? Jackie, I think that's her name, right? Jackie broke her collarbone going over the box in the mud there. And they both George got injured in that challenge too. They took them both to the hospital. They almost thought that both of them almost got medevac. They almost got medevac. And I think like it would have been George not being there on the season, if he was medevac first or medevaced along with Jackie, I think that would have been, the season would have been radically different, obviously. Radically different. But what could you do? Either way, overall, the season was good. I think it's way better than any of the new era seasons of Survivor US. Like, really, yeah. Unless you count Winners of War as part of the new era. But even then, I think Heroes of if you count Winners of War as part of the new era, then whatever. But even there, I think there's a debate that Heroes vs. Villains, AU Heroes vs. Villains is better than Winners of War. Either way, that's going to be the end of this live stream. I just really need to come on here and do a video for this week. It's something recorded this week. But there we go. I think that's where we're going to end it off today. I also want to say that videos might be more sparsely, more rushed, or whatever, because I'm going to school. I'm finishing up school. I have an exam later next week, and then I do also have. So working now. Tomorrow I work a 12-hour shift. And today I work an 8-hour shift. I'm doing this before that. But yeah, there we go. That's where we're going to end it today. Thank you for watching. Yeah.